haikus are bad and you should feel bad. Dude, you know, total tangent. You should feel bad made me think of, remember when we played the trolley problem? I've decided that I hate that game. I do not like that game. I actually had a good time on that stream, okay? Streaming it was fun because doing it with chat and like talking about it was fun. If I played that game not in front of chat and I just sat there and played it, I would have hated that game. The concept of the game I really like. The first few questions and everything, really good. Nothing wrong. But very quickly into it, you realize that no matter what you click on, no matter what answer you pick, the narrator and the writing is trying to make you feel bad and trying to be as dark as it can, but not even like clever dark. Just like, what's the lowest hanging fruit thing that would make someone feel bad here, right? Like there's one question about the dog. There's like a sick and dying dog, and it's like, do you put it out of its misery or leave it to die a slow death, right? And I'm like, well, I picked put it out of its misery. I'll never let a thing suffer. And then it keeps referencing that I killed the dog like the whole game. And I'm like, all right. Okay. Like, if it did it less, I would not mind it so much. But it does it the whole time, right? So I've realized I hate that game. It's the same way. There's some games where, like, I like the gameplay, but, like, the narrator fucks it up. And it just makes me, like, not enjoy it. Or oh, how I loved everything about Superliminal right up until the ending. And then they went into that artsy-fartsy, like, segment where the game looks very different, very black and white, right? And they start making it all about deep questions and whatever. And I was like, you know what? The game was so great up until this point. And then and then the game started trying to be a narrative artistic piece beyond what it is. And like, even without that section, it already had cool narrative underlying in the environmental storytelling. So it didn't need anything else. If they ended it right there, it would have actually had that deeper kind of underlying story to it that was great right where it was. And then they just sat there and they were like, hey, by the way, you know all that underlying story you've been noticing the whole time? Here's what it is in a spoken word kind of way. And I was like, what? I didn't like it. And I've decided, yeah, I don't like the trolley problem. That game is stupid. There were so many things about it that were like fun to think about, but I don't know. You hate when a game is normal and then it's like, hey, player, you're depressed, aren't you? That's the other thing. Okay, I am not a person who lives in despair. I handle negative emotions really well. They tend to go away quickly for me. Something terrible happens and I'm like, let's get constructive, right? And like, I'm chilling mentally, like I'm doing great, okay? I know not everyone's like that, but I'm mentally doing great. And I feel like a lot of games assume you're not. Assume that you are going to identify with everything bad and every emotional whatever and every like mental whatever, right? And it just, I don't know, I see it and I'm like, hey, there are a lot of people that suffer from these things, but most don't. So I'm just like, why are they always doing this? Based on the average storyline for your average small retro indie game, being an indie dev is fucking depressing. Maybe this is a bigger issue. Maybe the thing I realize that I don't like a lot of about a lot of indie games kind of throwing like all these negative emotions at you and being like, oh, you're feeling this all the time too, right? Maybe it's just that being an indie dev is suffering. We need to save them. We have to save these developers from their despair. We have to help them. They're crying. They're crying every day, man. Game development is a cry for help. Dude, I have a video essay I'm drafting up right now. I will not say that line is part of it, but some of the rants I've gone on recently about indie devs from both sides. Number one, from it being a really tough crowd to deal with, so you know, it's hard to get anything they want done, but also a lot of indie devs being up their own ass thinking that their project is the most wonderful, unique thing and deserves to make a lot of money ever. You know, there's a lot on both sides. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put these into bullet points and make an outline, and then the outline's gonna get fleshed out, and then I'm gonna have script. So we're getting there. We're getting there. A, put the indie dev out of their misery. B, let the indie dev die a slow, painful death. Yeah. You know what I'm putting in that video essay as a case study? Can you guess? So a large game that did pretty well and then crashed and burned. It's a game I've complained about before. A game where they shot themselves in the foot. Ooh, if you've got it. Omega Strikers. Yep. You have any idea how little that narrows it down? Yeah, but there's... Omega Strikers was one of the most heinous in recent time of really good game that fucked themselves over because the devs would not listen to people that understood video games. And then you get people making their little game that has like nothing to do with any other genre, and a few of those will make it because it's unique and people see that and has good marketing and they're like, hell yeah, and they go play it. And then most of those crash and burn because when you can't liken it to any other games, it's really hard to sell people on it. If I say, oh, this game is like Balatro, so many people will be like, I loved that game, I will try this one. Even though I know nothing about it, you've given me a thing to make me trust it, right? But then, you know, there will be games that you can't liken them to really anything. I think a great example is actually Cocoon. It's a puzzle game. Oh, what puzzle game is it like? I don't fucking know. Like, there's not much you could say, right? But the game was incredible, right? But you know, you end up like with a lot of these kind of devs that will make a game and it's their passion project and it's this thing that they really love, and then it doesn't do well. And they're like, but we invented a genre. Yeah, well, who are you going to market to? Marketing and how good your game are separate. They're completely separate. You could put out a game that's a steaming pile of shit, but if it looks good, if like the art is good, and you have a really good kind of marketing push at the beginning, people will all try to play it. They'll all buy it up front, you know? So that's a big issue with indie devs, and that's something I'm going to rant about in this video, is just basically, yeah, every poop is unique, exactly. There's a lot of that attitude of people not being good at marketing and getting really upset at the world, you know? Yeah, they feel entitled to success, yeah. And there's a lot of people in every industry. There are a lot of streamers like that. There are people in like literally every job like that. But I've been seeing it a lot more recently with indie devs than I feel I used to. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I feel like it should be common sense that you don't expect this to really work out if you don't know anything about marketing, right? I don't know. There's the niche thing where the smaller your niche, the tighter the people feel connected. Yeah, and those niches are really great to be in as a community perspective kind of thing. But then if you're going for sales, you know, and you're going to spend 3 years taking no pay developing a game and putting it out there, and then complain that those 3 years were wasted because you didn't make money. I mean, shouldn't you have known? Shouldn't somewhere during those 3 years you have been like, wow, the thing I'm making probably not going to work like that. Right? I don't know, man. It's very odd. It's very odd. Because it seems common sense to me. It seems. I don't know. You said you think it has some to do with the indie market contracting in recent years. Overall, less money in the industry means people are upset. True. I mean, a lot of the good, like the really good indie devs and studios got absorbed by bigger companies, or the workers got hired, or their project did well enough and they are no longer just an indie studio anymore, right? They became like a subsidiary of something else. I don't know. There are a lot of times where that sort of thing has happened, and it's just changed things over time. And then I'm gonna clickbait the title, and I'm gonna be like, this is why indie games are failing, or some shit. And then have a nice arc at the end of the video where I talk very positively about a lot of good projects that have done well and can do well, because that's what I actually care about. So you hook them in, and then you take them on a ride with all this dramatic shit in the middle, and then at the ending, you're like, here's why gaming's not dying though. And then people leave the video feeling happy. And that's the secret. That's the secret.